Greetings, Dr. Jeffrey Scott here, and this is my Market MRI Pro update for July 23rd, 2025. I asked the question, and it's a question, I forgot the question mark. Are stocks setting up for another leg higher? Today was bizarrely awesome for my portfolio. On Monday, I took some heat. Lou, GE, Vernova, OKLA all came down. Talked a little bit about one of the stocks that kept my portfolio in good shape, which was ALAB. And then Tuesday, I'm on a plane flying out to Omaha. And I don't know if you've ever been to Omaha, it's a lovely city, but getting there is not easy. So I spent most of my day going to Omaha. And on the plane, I saw my portfolio follow through on Monday's weakness and beyond. And then something happened. And by the end of the day, there was a significant turnaround. And then today, Wednesday, is probably my best day of the year. I just wonder if the Bears can't take this market down, no matter what they try, are we going on to further highs? Seasonality, not our friend coming up, but I think it's worth a question. Again, Jeffrey Scott, marketmripro at gmail.com. My Google group is called Top Down Trader. We will go to charts in a minute. This is for educational purposes only. Anything I talk about should be taken in the spirit of education and not investment advice. The intent of the video is to apply the tools of top-down trading, and I'll show you how I apply them. Trading involves risk. You are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. I may own or intend to buy or sell any stock I mentioned. Trading stocks and options should be considered risky, and you should consult with your financial advisor before making trades. I'm an oncologist, which means I give people chemotherapy. I'm not a financial advisor. I have tools in multiple platforms, and tonight we're going to use Market MRI Pro, which is a platform that Praveen built for me over the last few months that we brought to market. Google Groups called Top Down Trader. Just go to Google Groups, log in with the Google ID, go to all, search for Top Down Trader, sign up. Love to have you. It's not for picking on you and hitting you every day with how bad the market is and let me fix it for you. It's a way for me to send out videos on a nightly basis. You find out what I'm putting out. I'll do videos only for YouTube. I'll do educational seminars only for the YouTube, or excuse me, for the Top Down Trader, not YouTube group. So please consider joining. It's free, and I'll give you discounts if you buy my tools. Speaking of tools, I am doing my live meeting, Palm Beach Gardens, October 27th, 28th, location, working on it, but don't worry about it. I've got a fallback, which is just fine. It's $12.50 a person. That'll be breakfast and lunch on Sunday and Monday, dinner cruise on my boat, Stocks and Docks, catered on Sunday evening, 2 packed days of education, back to back with John Person seminar, which is October 25 and 26. They're separate seminars, same city, but separate seminars, separate prices. For more information or to reserve your spot, just contact me. I've already had a number of people reach out. I'm probably going to limit it to 12 people, so it will fill up. So I don't have a website. I'm old school, but if you reach out to me, tell me you're interested, I will send you a link to pay. I love doing these programs, and they must be okay because the same people seem to come every time, which I guess is a compliment or tells me I don't have a following except for the people that come every time. Either way, I'll take it. Know your news and earnings dates. Wednesday, I guess housing came out today, didn't hurt the market, that's for sure. Housing stocks traded up. You had some positive earnings from some of the builders. Thursday's a big day. We got jobless claims, got some PMIs and new home sales. Friday, we got durable goods. We're in a quiet period now for the Fed, and all eyes will be on the Fed next week with the question, are they going to cut? And, I just hope it's not a case of Powell digging in and deciding not to cut because it doesn't want to look like he's caving into Trump. That will be bad. And I do think that there's going to be some good discussion there because just listening to the talking Fed heads, there's clearly arguments to be made on both sides. Massive earnings week continues. After hours today, just to give you a hint of some of the winners and losers, and I'm not going to be the one that tells you to go buy Linear because I know it's going to be up a lot tomorrow because it's already up. Google's up a little bit less than 2%. Linear is up 23%. ICLR is up 13%. Now is up 7%. Losers, CYH minus 17.8, CMG minus 9.5, and IBM's down about 5%. Futures at 7:30 when I'm doing this are mostly higher. Let's see if it's changed. Yeah, the Dow's selling off a little bit, um, but Google is certainly helping. The Nasdaq's up 86 points. So mixed on the futures. As you look forward to tomorrow, Wednesday, we got Thursday. Today we had GE Vernova. That was awesome, awesome. Google's good. We've got airlines. We got Nokia, Intel. How bad will that be? And then Friday we got Centene, which has already led the payers to the downside. It is a judgment call to hold stocks over earnings dates. It is bad judgment to not know when your stock's earnings date is scheduled. So for more information, if you got the program, you're having any issues with installation, moving it from one computer to another, which is a simple answer there, easy. Reach out to Praveen at coding@marketmripro.com. Order Market MRI Pro, or for information about any of the programs discussed today, or to register for the meeting, please reach out to me to marketmripro@gmail.com. Those of you who have indicated interest in the last week, I will be sending you links to sign up over the weekend. Again, I take 12 and I stop. Why? Because I can only hold about 15, 16 on my boat. And it's me and my wife makes 14, and two wives show up with the 12 people that come. Boat is full. So, and consider joining the Top Down Trader Google group. Let's go on to the charts. Plus, I'm not doing the education to get rich. I like to interact and help the people that come there and teach. All right, let's look at the market for Wednesday. So this is the Market MRI Pro. This is the daily briefing tab. Let's just rank it by one-day performance. Russell was up 1.5%, finishing at the top of its day. You know that's a strong day. Diamond's up 1.18 at the top of the day. Spider 0.85 at the top of the day. The Q's up 0.46 at the top of the day. When you have all the major indices finishing at the high of their session, that is extremely bullish. The dollar finished at the bottom of its session at minus 0.15. Bitcoin finished near the top of the day, but was still negative, almost down 0.8. And VIX was down 4.12, finishing at the low of the session. New high, new lows. Wow, 12-month new high, new lows on the NYSE. New highs minus new lows. 114, 78 on the NASDAQ. So we're getting into triple digit territory. That's a great thing. If we look at the one-day change, sector leadership, healthcare, haven't seen that for a long time. Industries, energy, financials, tech. We're up top. On the bottom is utilities. If we look at performance of the various types of stocks, so S&P 1500 is a great index because it has the 500 large cap, 600 small cap, and 400 mid cap. The NASDAQ is heavy on tech, and the NYSE's got energy, banks, and less tech. You can see 73% of stocks were up, 68 were up, and 72. That is a strong day in the markets. If we look at the timing brief, I was even surprised to see that on the daily Russell and the daily diamond, we regained the bongos. We remain in a buy signal since the little dip back here on June 21st. And all of the ETFs, whether I'm looking at the spiders, the Qs, the diamonds, or the Russell, are in a buy, not even close to a sell. The weeklies remain in a buy and have been in a buy really going back to June. Excuse me. Here they are. Now I got that fixed. Yeah. I mean, there's May on the spiders. Really didn't go until the beginning of June on the Russell. The buy signal came in May, and the buy signal came in May. Now, I didn't wait for the buy signal. If you listen to my videos, you know I look at a lot of other things as well, and the dailies turn obviously before the weekly, but we remain buys everywhere. And look at these candles, spiders, all-time highs at the high for the week. Qs, not all-time highs on the close, but all-time highs this week, all-time closing highs so far this week. Russell, no all-time highs. We haven't got there, but what a strong day finishing at the highs and a clean breakout on the diamonds. This market just looks super strong. Um, I don't expect it to go on forever. When I look at the 13-week new high, new lows, we're starting to see extension. But boy, this thing does not want to die. Here is the spider off the big V bottom. You can see seasonality starting to level off here. It's not negative until we get out to this area, which is in September. So do we have another run up? We'll see. But beautiful uptrend. It's a daily spider up today, 0.85, closing at the highs, and really nothing that worries me. If I look at the Qs, let's take a look at the Qs. Similar pattern. Now, this one's got a little bit of a flag after a big run up. That's okay. Nothing's broken down. It's still trading above the 17. Simple moving average was up 0.46 today. We take a look at the diamonds. Um, fresh highs. Don't know if they're all-time highs. Let's see. Nope. So I'm thinking that the all-time high on the diamond was on this day, and we are close to an all-time high on the diamonds. This is a super strong market. You still got to be long this market. So that's how close we are. Anybody think we're not going to get it? We had volume breakout momentum today on an index. Diamonds look good here, and the diamonds were up 1.18%. Woo. We take a look at the Russell. Now the Russell is way off of its, well, way is a big word, considerably off its all-time highs. In fact, if we bring this in here, let's just put the line on. Long ways to go, but it's had the same V-shaped recovery and broke out from a little bit of a wedge here. That's very bullish. And the Russell we know led today and was up 1.5%. I think the U.S. indices look great. Of course, they'll look great until they don't anymore, and we have been long in the tooth. But I'm not seeing a reason to not be long. Volatility down 6.85% today, looking at the VIX futures. All right, well, when the VIX is low, look out below. When the VIX is high, it's time to buy. So as the VIX continues to break down and to get to this area, as we saw it back here, maybe that does increase risk, but it doesn't tell me when. And if I look at the dollar, weak dollars are good for the market. The dollar, after rallying, failed at the 50. It's coming back to retest this trend line from the other side. So, dollar weak. How about commodities? If risk is on and we're buying stocks, we're not buying gold. So gold was down after a recent run up again, and gold was down 1.24%. Silver held up a little bit better, pretty flat. Oil bouncing around off above the 200 was down a little bit. Natural gas is toast. And then I'll throw the negative, nearly negative. Now, as the 10-year was up 1.2%, 30-year was up 0.94, still below 5%. But I think the rates remain the devil in the background. Buckets brief, you can see we have shifted, certainly on the NYSE, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, not as much on the S&P 1500 from the bottom of the buckets to the top. We are not at a signal anywhere. 10% of the Russell's above the bands, 11 of the NASDAQ. That is not a signal. I look at my market breadth. The left is the NYSE, the right is the NASDAQ composite. Fresh closing highs on both, although not an intraday high in the NASDAQ. Boy, was this a strong couple of days. Let's take a quick look at volume. And if you've been here before, you know that I like to go into market surge, which I'm opening up on my next door neighbor computer, just to see where they project volume for the day. And they're showing NASDAQ volume up 3.68% and NYSE down 0.34. So I'd say volume is pretty average day. What we could see here is stocks above the 50, above the 20 in green, the 200 in red really turned up on both. And we are starting to get close to areas on this extension where markets reverse. And we'll see where the 17 goes over the next couple of days. Another thing to point out on both the NYSE and the NASDAQ, we had bangos today. Bangos is a sign of irrational exuberance buying. Irrational exuberance is not a good thing, and it can lead in a market reversal. But as you can see, it doesn't mean a thing in a strong uptrend. It keeps going higher. New high, new lows positive on both. Advanced decliners, 4 digits on both. And up-down volume positive on both. If I look at another breadth signal that I want to look at, and here I've got the spider, the NASDAQ composite, the Russell, and the S&P 1500. And again, look at these things. They're at new high territory. But then look at this green line, which is the 13-week new high, new low, 0.92, 0.91, 0.93, and 0.94. Within a day or two, if we continue higher, unless there's significant rotation of leadership, we're going to be pushing on areas where we typically reverse. So that's one thing that's a negative that I'll be watching in addition to the stocks above the various moving averages. If I look at the ratio charts, I can get a sense of what's leading. Discretionary popped up a little bit. Industrials remain strong. Utilities, after teasing us, pulled back. Staples is still weak. Tech still looks good. Healthcare, a little bit of a pop today. Real estate, a little bit of a pop. But really, if you look at strength over any period of time, it's been technology, industrials, and discretionary looks okay. I'll give that one to it right now. Communications here is held up, but it's been selling off of late. Let's go into the JAS layout. So this includes, as you can see, a lot of stocks over 3,700. Each of them are stuffed into different sectors. And so we can look and see which sector was up. Now these will look different than the S&P 500 sectors because of the sheer number of stocks that are in there. And you could see healthcare, utilities, and industrials lead to the upside. If I look at industry groups, you can see the leading industry groups: renewables, independent power, real estate, uranium, ag, broadcasting, oil, gas, auto, health plans, so on and so forth. So let's take the top 3: healthcare, utilities, and industrials, and let's take the top 10 industry groups of those. So even though healthcare has been a big laggard, notice what's in this list: medical health plans, biotech, and drug manufacturing general. Again, that could be a sign that we are going to be rotating into these beaten up healthcare stocks. So let's just look at two-day momentum. Let's go through the ABVX. You can't really, hard to be prepared for this. It was a binary moment. They had data presented today, I believe in ulcerative colitis, that could be game changing. And the stock price went crazy. And it's showing still a market cap of 445 million, still probably cheap considering that. So I don't really chase these things because, of course, they announce public offerings to take advantage of it. So that could cause the stock to weaken a little bit. You'd expect it to flag before it runs again. And a lot of time these things will pop and they just set high price forever. GEV, a stock that I'm in. Hopefully some of you are in. I talk about it enough. And this one tried really hard to get me out of it this week. Just like LEU and OKLA, doing a pretty significant pullback as we'll look at. And you could see right here. Does that look like a stock you want to be in? No, but it looked like it here and it went higher. It looked like it here and it went higher. Here and it went higher. Here and went higher. So who says it's not going to do the same thing? And then earnings came out today. Now, the way I found the stock the first time was back in April and had crazy good earnings. And right around here was a great time to buy it when it was in the $350 range. And just look at the growth, the surprises, and you've got 3 months to earnings come out again. I think this one looks really great, but it's hard to buy something that's had this big of a run. It pulls back, and that's when I would be buying it. Will you make money if you buy it now? Probably, but come on. I know you're all billionaires, but how many shares of a $600 stock are you going to buy? Maybe you buy 100, $60,000, and you put it in away and forget about it. I don't know. I'd wait for a pullback. LII, Lennox International, this would go up if the home building goes up. Talon, we talked about over the weekend. I believe they either own the data centers, have data center deals for energy. Um, Big U.S. electricity player. I talked about it over the weekend. Had a big jump up here. It's getting extended. Lilly, the makers of Manjaro. It looks pretty good here, but it's got to get above the 200. When are earnings? Earnings are in 10 days. I love Lilly. I love Manjaro. I personally take it, have been taking it. It's changed my life. However, you have a president in the White House whose number one target is pharma right now, and we know what he can do to the market. So it makes me nervous on some of the pharmas and biotechs. Vista Energy is one that I like a lot. Pullback, had a gap up today. I don't love how it finished here at the bottom of the gap significantly, but still a very strong day. And look down here, volume, breakout, momentum, and gap coming out of a squeeze and relative strength and OBV turning positive. Don't know RNAZ, don't care about it. AYI, Acuity Brands, in the industrial space, breaking out here. Regeneron is another pharma biotech company. And then power is another thing that has a lot in the electrical transmission world. But again, very extended stock. Now, Powell, which had been a runner, um, doesn't look too bad here. It broke out above the 200, retested, and today broke out higher. I like that pattern a lot. Earnings come out in 6 days. Do I want to buy something with earnings in six days? Look at the multiple, look at the growth rate. There's a reason why the stock was a big performer. Yeah, it's slowing down, but the growth rate is still double the multiple. So Powell Industries might be something interesting. Um, Elevance is one of my customers, and they have sold off hard, as has most of the um, industry that they're part of. We can look at United in a second. I just don't know. When I buy it down there, it still feels like a falling knife that's bounced a little bit. That's United. That's Humana. Big downtrends. Not sure I'd be. And then an expensive stock that looks like it's setting up nicely here is AGX, Alpha George X-Ray. It makes money. It's got really good earnings per share growth, earnings surprises. $1.64 is coming in against $1.31, so that's 30 cents. So that's 20% growth rate, but it always surprises. Pays a 1% or so dividend. I think that AGX looks great on the 50 with a CPR and a momentum signal. That might be one that I would watch tomorrow. NRG is another one of these nuclear reactor companies. Earnings are not to August 6th. Sideways move and a breakout today in the U.S. markets. CEG, Constellation Energy, kind of going sideways. Tried to break out today, but a bad close. So there's clearly something going on in the electrical space. So that's top down, looking at the top sectors, looking at the top industry groups. Now, some days I'll just come in and I'll say, I don't want to look at just the sectors. Give me the top 10. And so I've got all the various industry groups in here. And some days I don't even want to do top down. Just show me what to buy, Jeff. So the impulse allows me to go in here and let's drop down. Let's filter this for above the 200, price above 500, excuse me, volume above 500, price above 5, and in an uptrend. And that'll take my 37 down to 448. Let's rank it by the number of up dots. Well, GEV comes to the top. Probably too late to buy this. Guidant, not Guidant, General Dynamics rather, which is in the defense space, kind of a cup, handle, breakout. Um, Good earnings per share growth, and with what's going on in the world, I think defense companies will remain strong. ATYR, I don't know this company. Nice looking chart, but it's a cheap pharma. You got Western Digital and Seagate, both of which look similar. Big runs up, a little bit slowing of momentum. Somebody's got to make the storage. There's our Vista. VICR has made it a few times. Vicor Corporation, big move today, but you can see it's well off its prior high. I mentioned OKLO, and you can see OKLO, which is in the nuclear space, if I remember correctly, big run up, handle. It looks more likely it's going higher than lower here. CPR, volume, breakout momentum. Lunar machines, if you're into those space and automation, pull back below the 200 today, broke above it. That's good. I don't know anything about things like Fox F, Fox Factory, but look at the pattern here. It's in an uptrend. It finally retook the 200 and broke above it. Volume breakup momentum, relative strength and OBV look good. That might be something. And then Exelixis is a biotech that they've got some more data on their drug. It just looks like it's waiting to go higher. Another thing that I like to do is just come back in here and do price 5, volume 500, 2-day momentum up, hit OK. And oops, I didn't want 2-day. Yeah, that's what I wanted. 54. Holy Toledo. Let's rank them by 2-day momentum. You know it's a good day. So TMO, Thermo Scientific Fisher, had a leadership change running up into the 200. Credit Corp, BAP, a beautiful regional bank breaking out. DaVita Healthcare. And what we really are searched for are these two momentum dots back to back, which historically have led to big moves. Um, I looked at some of these before. Pony is an AI company, if I remember correctly, breaking out here. But these are different tricks that I've learned over time of how to find stocks. And I like to buy stocks that are starting to move. I'm not the guy that wants to go into a big position and buy things going sideways. I want to get them when they come out of being sideways. And just for completion's sake, let's look at Lou, Centrus Energy. Yeah, I could have made the argument to buy it here or to buy it on this breakout here. I don't want to buy things that are going sideways. And this one is one I talked about too late. I talked about it at 205, so it would have been on this bar here. And the stock had a great run after that point. 2-day correction, which is done multiple times, and now it looks like it's going higher. So I looked at a lot of stocks. Let's just real quickly look at the FANGs. If they're going to show up here, and if I don't see something I know is here, turn off my filters. Learn that. All right, Amazon. Down at some point today, I'm in Amazon. I think Amazon goes higher. Earnings are coming out really soon, July 31st, which could be a reason not to buy it if you're not already in it. But it seems like Prime Day did okay. Seasonality here is okay. I think that one looks good. APP, is it ready to run again? This thing does really well at earnings. Has had a lot of surprises here. To put it mildly, trades at a multiple of 45, growing at triple digits. I like that. Earnings are the 6th. Google after hours doing well. We'll see what it opens up at. Meta had another super strong day, and we talked about it the other day, breaking above this trend line, and it did cleanly. Microsoft, what a king. A little bit of a pullback with hammer. Maybe it's time to, when it breaks the flag, to take it. Netflix. Whew. Netflix sold off on earnings hard. Here was going into earnings a positive day, and then here's the earnings disaster. And they weren't so bad. I mean, they talk about their costs are going to be higher for content. They, talked about margins. Still surprised it sold off so hard. And Tesla reported tonight, and it's interesting it didn't make the list um, of the big movers, which maybe that's okay. I mean, I love EVs. I've had EVs for a decade. I don't have a Tesla because I didn't like their interiors. Um, and EV sales are going down. In fact, it came time to buy another car, and I went back and bought a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, which frankly I think that's the way to go. You can drive it with fuel. You can have just electric. Electric can augment the gas motor. It's a BMW XM. But for the first 33, 35 miles a day, I use electricity. I don't drive that much. I haven't filled it up. I've had the car over a month. So interesting. I think plug-in hybrids make sense. But what do I know? I'm a cancer doctor. So there you go. The world in stocks in about 30 minutes. Hope you have a great Thursday. And if you have interest in the meeting, I am going to close it at 12. I will open it up to online as well. So if you're interested in online, you can sign up now. And once somebody signs up for online, I'll make sure I have all the lines and everything arranged. But once I get to 12 in the room, I'm going to probably shut down the live. So please let me know. Jeffrey Scott, marketmripro.com, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night.